All right, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to get our WP API set up. And there is a lesson attached to this activity, to this lesson. There's an information lesson. And what we're going after is the WP REST API. The WP REST API is basically what gives us our JSON. It takes the data from inside our WordPress site and returns JSON to us, essentially. There's a bunch of resources available that we can use. These will be included in the lesson and in this lesson and the other lesson accompanying this as well, the informational lesson. What we have to do is when we first install WordPress, so we're going to log into our me.insideoutproject.com, and when I log in, what we can see is that we're in, and we can go ahead and we could look at some pages. We have a sample page based on the login that we created, and we have our plugins, which are basically our Updraft, and then the two that come with it, which we'll talk about in other videos. But for now, what we need to realize is that WordPress comes with an API, REST API, right out of the box. And the problem is, for a lot of people, they don't realize that it won't work immediately with the default settings. So we can see, if we read our documentation and study a little bit, we'll learn that the way that we get to our data is through wp-json/wp, and then of course the version, and our version is version 2. And it's actually quite simple what we need to do to turn this on to enable our WordPress REST API. And what we do is we go into our settings and we go to what's called Permalinks. Now inside here, the way the Permalinks work, we need those endpoints for our REST API, and our endpoints for the REST API are dependent on redirects. And so basically SEO friendly URLs. Redirects is a completely another conversation that's outside of the scope of this lesson. What we need to do is we need to enable post name. And if we come down and we save changes, and we did post name inside of Permalinks, what we'll find is when we come into our me.yourdomain.com or whatever it is, WP-JSON, WP v2, and we hit enter, we actually end up with our information. And so what this does, what the REST API does for us, is it allows us to literally pull pretty much every piece of data out of the site that we need or want to access. And what we can't, we can either customize for, or we can actually go ahead, and there's a whole plethora of plugins available around the REST API. For now, let's just go ahead and we'll take a quick look and we'll see what we get. So we just clicked on posts, and so what it's doing is it's listing out, which we only have one post in our site at the moment. It's actually listing out our post for us, which is our hello world. If we were to go ahead and if we come down here and we see that there's these links, and these links allow us, give us the information that we need for things like author, collection it might be a part of itself, and so if we want to actually just drill down into this single post, we can go to this and we have our information specifically just around this post. And it's the way that we can pull of content. We can do the same thing with pages, and we can see that we can pull our pages into here. Right now at the moment we only have one page, which is the sample page, but it pulls all the data, the content, the excerpt, all the things that we enter in the back end of our WordPress website. It makes that information available to us to use to pull into our applications and other sites. Additionally, we can do things like users, and we can get users along with their avatar URLs, which will obviously take us right to that, to the image, so we can pull these things out as well. Really good information, really good, awesome using WordPress REST API. So that puts us in our position to start using our REST API and getting that JSON data that we need. In our next video, we're going to learn one thing that you cannot get out of the REST API in the fashion that we want it, which is we want our menus. But we want our menus to come out in such a way that they are organized in our hierarchy, that they were created and saved in, and that we can leverage them without having to manipulate the data or doing any kind of excessive work on the front end. So in our next video, we'll cover how to get the menus to be returned for us in our WP REST API. We'll see you then.